What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Block Hash Podcast channel. Happy beginning of June. We're going to dive into some chart analysis this week, talking about some of my favorite picks leading into June. Today, we're going to talk about specifically Stellar XLM, one of my personal favorites. So before we do, make sure to check out our Substack if you want to get all the updated information in your inbox every single week, or go to our website, blockhashpodcast.com, to get more info and resources there. Our Substack is blockhash.substack.com. All right, so taking a look at XLM, this is where we are at, sitting at a cool 10.6, more or less, 10.62 today. We're going to kind of do some comparisons to the Bitcoin ETF approval and the Ethereum ETF approval to show you some correlations that might give you a better picture. Right now, the whole crypto market is kind of like a duck in water, just sitting there waiting for something to happen. Ever since we had the big drop off in the middle of April, and this is consistent for most of the crypto market, so not just XLM that I'm picking on here. It's been, moving sideways in kind of this triangle-ish pattern, where it's, found a low kind of around the 10-cent area, just a little above it, 10.2, where it's had some strong resistance in the past that we've talked about before. And it's held that for very well. I don't think Stellar Lumens is going to go below 10 cents. Seems pretty strong there. It also has another floor relatively around 10.6, 10.7 that it's also held for a long time, going back to multiple dates, and also used to be a former ceiling for XLM over the last couple of years. And this one has religiously been very strong. It's popped down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5+ times as of recently in the last 2 months, I'd say, a month and a half. And it's held that pretty well. If it's gone below it, it's popped back up pretty quickly. It doesn't stay long down below it. So we have a little bit of a triangle here that we're looking at, where it doesn't seem to have been able to get above this 20 EMA, which is a little annoying. So it's sitting below its moving averages on just about everything. Very frustrating for the entire market. Really haven't seen that take place in a strong fashion like this since, beginning of 2023. So this is a little bit of an annoyance. Now, to get through here is going to be very key, because right now, on the long term here, over the last couple of years, you got this M pattern coming in where it looks like it's just kind of corrected this entire movement, unfortunately. Hanging out around here, still not doing much. It's really hard to say crypto's in a full-fledged bull market when it won't break out and go to higher highs. So we got a lot to look for. Now, obviously, Bitcoin is at higher highs. Ethereum is starting to approach bull market season. All of these are good catalysts for the crypto market. It's just very frustrating when the rest of the market has been so dead in the water, and XLM is one of those key large caps that's just been dead in the water. So key things to look for. I'll give you a price prediction as well in the short term and long term. It doesn't change too much for me, but I'll recap that. But we're looking at resistance around 13.4. It has a really hard time staying above 13.4. Many times it's hit that and shown resistance as a ceiling. The few times it has gotten through 13.4, it's gone up and touched some arbitrary numbers, above 17, close to 16, but it hasn't really shown that it wants to go back to those levels. You could say 16.3, 16 to 17 is its highest level, but it just stair steps all the way back down. Like, there's no consolidation. There's no holding of this line, maybe once here, maybe twice, as a floor. So 13.3, until it's validated as a floor, it's going to serve as a ceiling. So that is the big key threshold. Can we get through that? So we've been in this long sideways kind of funnel ever since June, July of last year. For an entire year, we've kind of been bouncing around here, and that's really annoying. Right now, we're on the bottom side of this funnel, which obviously we don't want to see. We've been on the top side of this funnel, okay? So we're really not in bad territory, but we're not in great territory. To get into great territory, what we need to see is this wedge break to the upside. We don't want to see this come down further, because ultimately this is the low we cannot break below. If we break below 10 cents, 10.2, I'm just going to say 10 cents, and we start to consolidate below this, I'm going to be a little concerned for the overall crypto market because, if Stellar's doing that, the rest of the market's probably moving in tandem with it. So what we want to see is it break through this wedge and at least go sideways, continue to see these wedge breaks. We had one wedge break, thank God, because this was really steep. We moved sideways. If we can see another wedge break, maybe we'll start to move a little bit closer to 11 cents. We can move our way back above the moving averages, and maybe we'll see something like this. And as we go into the summer and the later part of the year, maybe that'll be, I really got to get a tool to draw here. Maybe this will be a catalyst for us to move in the upward direction correctly and eventually break out of this as we go into the later half of 2024. Where do we need to go to? Obviously, we really need to retest 13.4, but we need to find a way to consolidate like we were doing back here in October, November, December, right around where the Bitcoin spot ETF was, before it was approved, all that hype. We need to build up around this level so that we can break out. One of the big faults was that it came down after the Bitcoin ETF and that this hype wasn't justified and we didn't go up. That would have been bullish. Problem is we sold off the news, and then later in March, people bought into it, and it was just a hype cycle. It wasn't anything substantiated. Here we are again with the Ethereum ETF, seeing something similar. And this might continue through the wedge. I don't know why I grabbed that. I'm trying to get my brush here. Maybe we get through the wedge. Maybe we go sideways. Maybe we dip down a little bit more. I don't want to see us pop up and then come back down again. I really don't, but I feel like that might be happening again for the Ethereum ETF if it starts to trade. What I want to see is us break through, find a higher high, consolidate, and then move. That's something I'm looking for. If we start to do that, then we're really starting to move in the right direction. I'm going to back out to the weekly just to show you a little bit more here on XLM, because we got action that's very similar to what we saw in the pre-2021 saga, as well as the pre-2017 saga. 2017 was a little bit more like, it's not going to happen, then it just happened. And then everything leading up to 2021, obviously was kind of nasty. And then you get into March 2020, you saw Bitcoin, gold, toilet paper all pop off because of the COVID pandemic. And that was a catalyst for the market as it kind of retraced above these moving averages and then eventually popped in 2021. Here, we've seen this kind of happen, but it's been very weird, where you thought maybe this would be the catalyst, and by now it probably would have gone up in some fashion. It just hasn't done that yet. And it's not concerning. It's just this market is very boring. It's moving because of institutional investment in the market, but there's no retail investment yet. And that's probably not going to happen until we get rate cuts, because the dollar is too expensive. People can't afford to invest into crypto right now. And that's just the unfortunate reality. That's why we haven't seen substantial moves. That's why we keep coming up, falling back down, coming up, falling back down, coming up, falling back down. This is not a building of value. These are just temporary spikes. So again, we need to see where we can start to consolidate to higher levels. On the RSI, MACD, we just continue bouncing around. We're not seeing anything tremendously overbought or oversold. Over the last couple months, you could argue that it's been oversold after it got overbought back in March. So maybe we're due to turn to the upside. If you're like a short-term day trader, swing trader, this is great to have all this choppiness, because you can start to kind of predict where these ceilings are, where these floors are, and you can take profit. But if you're a long-term trader, it's just frustrating. So what are my predictions, short-term and long-term, for Stellar XLM? I think in the short term, we are bound to come back up and retest the 13.5 area. And I hope to God we chop around in that area before moving up. All right. So in June, I'm expecting us to try to come back up to 13.5. I think there's enough sentiment with the Ethereum ETF to drive volume. I think we can get there. And as a result, if we can do that and chop around, sometime over the summer, going into the fall, most likely we can come back up and retest this again. That would be a healthy move, give us a chance to break out of this cycle and maybe actually enter a bull market and we'll say 2024 was premature and 2025 is when it's actually going to happen, because maybe that's enough time for retail to accumulate, get back into the market. That's my short-term prediction. I think we can get to 13.5 here in June. We just need to start trending in that direction soon, and we need to start making some small gains. On the other hand, I also think in the long term, assuming we can do this and shop around and move up, I'm going to shift this around. Likely what will happen is we'll come back down and retest 13, maybe chop around here some more, come back, shop around. You know, I mean, this is getting really into 2025. The other option is we go into the new year, and maybe January, February is when we have our launch to the upside. Like, there's a lot of things we need to retest. It's not, set in stone answer. But I think in the new year of 2025, maybe by the time we get to January, let's say Q1 2025, we can definitely see the breakout where we can go to 20 cents and start to get back to the levels that we used to be at and really start to churn out some momentum. But we just don't have that yet. Like, we're dead in the water. So first, short term, can we get to 13.5? I think we can. After 13.5, let's say by September, can we get back up to 16 or 17 by September and hold that level? Or at least come back and hold 13.5. We need to turn this into a floor so that we can move to the upside. That's the key for me. I think we'll get there. We're way overdue, considering how these charts have played out in the past. And I think we're way overdue because of retail. All right. Institutions are on board. Good things are happening. The meme crazes are back. Roaring Kitty is posting. GameStop is pumping. So is AMC. Crazy things are happening. It's just an absence of retail. It's 2021 minus the little guy for now. So that's what I think is happening. Let me know what you think about Stellar XLM. I know they were at consensus. I know probably be at Meridian later this year. I know they're pushing really hard with their new updates with smart contracts on blockchain. They're one of the fastest in the world. Have amazing solutions for payments, remittance, all these things. Let me know your thoughts, what you think it could go to, potentiality. Could it get to $1 at some point? I think so. It just takes time and get some real use cases out there. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Make sure to like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you so much. See you guys on the next episode. Cheers.